Nick Miravetz of Locked On Cyclones from his prison cell. The Farmageddon matchup in Ireland, game 1 of Big 12 play. If the statement is the winner of this game wins the Big 12 conference, because by the way, this is a huge, you're automatically jolted into a great position if you win Farmageddon. You've knocked off another contender from the Big 12. The winner of that game winning the conference. Do you agree?
Absolutely. First off, I will say it's a miracle that the guards let me have the tech to run this show. So quick shout out to them. Yeah. No, as far as the Farmageddon game, this is where I get pumped up. I'm so fired up about this game. Christian of Locked On Kansas State and I have done a Farmageddon Friday for the last 2-3 months or whatever it's been, breaking down every single aspect of this game. I can confidently say, and that might even be too weak of a term, that this might be the greatest game this season. Like this is going to be the battle of two great Big 12 teams. And the better team that comes out on top in this game, whoever plays better that day, is absolutely poised for a Big 12 championship. Here's the caveat. It will be Iowa State. Every 100 times this game is simulated, Iowa State's going to come out on top. And I could break down every single reason why for this game specifically. But over the course of the season, think about what this does momentum-wise. How does a team react when you get on the plane coming back from Dublin, Ireland, when you're on a loss? It's not a fun experience. It's a silent plane ride, and that's a lot longer travel time than the bus ride from Iowa City to Ames, right? It's a different game. And then you got to come back. You're jet lagged. You got to play these next 3 games. The energy's not there. This is going to set the tone for the entire season. Absolutely. So getting a win over a very good team in Kansas State that you will probably be in the running at the end. You have that tiebreaker. You've knocked a win off their slate. You grabbed it. And you have the momentum going into the rest of the season. I can't even put into words how important this game is. And obviously, Iowa State's coming out on top.
Do you think the losing team has bought a one-way ticket to 7-5 or 8-4? You mentioned how demoralizing it is. You're already 0-1 in Big 12 play. That's a tough hit.
There is certainly an argument there. I will say Rocco Becht at Big 12 Media Days mentioned that this might be the hardest start to a season that Iowa State has ever had, these first 4 games, which I honestly thought was kind of crazy. But then you start thinking about it and you're like, this isn't necessarily a cakewalk per se. I do obviously playing Iowa, the Big Ten, and a couple of not gimmies, let's say, in week 2 and 4 there. So for Iowa State, if you don't come away with that win, there is a lot riding on. You need to turn it up immediately, figure out what went wrong, and start implementing strategies to fix those kind of pitfalls, if you will, or else you're gonna find yourself at 1-3. Is that where you want to be? No.
1-3 would be crazy, by the way. If we're looking at the Iowa State schedule, Iowa State plays Kansas State, then South Dakota. South Dakota's a fine football team. Iowa, that game's in Ames. You could certainly lose that one. And then Arkansas State in Jonesboro. Butch Jones.
On the road.
And Arkansas State down in that's kind of the 501. It's something like that in northeast Arkansas, which is a crazy place. 1-3 would be devastating for Iowa State, but also
would be terrible.
We saw in 2022, fall of 22, going into 23 is when the championship game was played. That was a TCU team that knocked Iowa State to 3-9 in the last game of the regular season that year. And Matt Campbell, you're looking around going, well, you can't fire him. He shouldn't be on the hot seat. He's the greatest coach in Iowa State history, and he's building something huge here. But then he went 3-9. If you lose that game to Kansas State, the territory of regression into, hey, how do we regroup? Especially with Iowa coming up a couple weeks afterward, how do we regroup? That's where the rubber meets the road in an extreme way for Iowa State if they lose. On the other side, for Kansas State, if they fall in this game, you look at the Wildcats, and Chris Kleiman was once on the hot seat. It wasn't that long ago. He lost during the COVID year to 2-7 Baylor on a rainy night in Waco, and people were calling for his head. Since then, he's won a Big 12 championship, and he should be at Kansas State for the duration. But what if you lose this game, fly back from Dublin, and regress? Now, their slate's a little bit easier. They get North Dakota, Army, Arizona, UCF. That's an easy, soft landing spot if Kansas State loses this game. A little bit easier than Iowa State's. But what I want to know, and you do these Farmageddon Fridays, what I want to know, what's the difference? What makes Iowa State better than Kansas State when so many metrics have the two at pretty much even?
It really is going to be a bit of a toss-up. This game is going to be, like I said, absolutely electric. To me, what I think sets Iowa State apart is the defense in this one. I think that they're going to be so much better than last season, specifically at the linebacker position, that they're going to be able to hang with Kansas State. right? You obviously have to score points to win football games. And I feel like I say that every single show. You can't win 0-0, but the defense can score as well. So let's not forget about that. I do think the defense is going to hold Kansas State in check and then give the offense time to find their rhythm, right? Who is going to be the lead wide receiver? Is it Chase Sowell or Xavier Townsend? Or are we looking to the tight end position? How much running back involvement is there going to be? Christian and I have talked about what's the weather going to look like. Is it going to be a rainy, Dublin, Ireland day? Or is it going to be crisp and sunny? We're going to be able to throw the ball around. All of those kinds of factors will play a role. I think in this one, it's going to be the experience and depth at the linebacker position for Iowa State that's really going to set them apart. Guys like Caleb Bacon coming back. We've already talked about how big of an impact they've had this offseason, specifically in fall camp, just with bringing the energy and all the guys responding to it. Those guys at the top weren't there last season, right? We didn't necessarily bring in any huge names at linebacker. It's just guys returning from injury that people forget about. So those guys are at the top. Now, you got to think about all the guys that played last season because of the guys that were hurt. They have more reps under their belt. They are more experienced. And when we got to swap them out, we got to keep legs fresh. We don't see the major dip in production. I think that's where Iowa State's going to be set, for great success.
Kansas State is 27th in the country in return production. Iowa State, despite losing two of the best wide receivers in the country, 43rd in the nation in return production per pick six previews. Here's the big one that I point out if Iowa State is going to win this game. For the Wildcats last year, their passing defense, again, pick six previews, 77th in the country at 225 yards per game, 55th in yards per attempt. They couldn't slow down a good quarterback, an elite quarterback, consistently. Rocco Becht vies to be an elite quarterback, to be a quarterback that can lead the Big 12 in multiple categories and was, as many have said, sneakily one of the Big 12's best. I don't know about sneaky. The guy was just good. If you know Big 12 ball, you know the name Rocco Becht. That's where Iowa State can have an advantage in this game. I think overall the storyline of having the Big 12 in a spotlight game in Dublin, Ireland, with two teams that are fierce rivals by now. I mean, I went to this game last year and it was awesome. You're going to see the best of the Big 12 on display in week one.
Oh, absolutely. I'll ask you this because we talked about this last week or 2 weeks ago. Obviously, you're a Big 12 guy. Right? I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory considering the platform we're on right now. What do you make of Farmageddon being ranked 63rd best rivalry in the top 100? Ridiculous.
I can say the word ass. I think.
You should.
I think they allow that. The FCC kind of allows that. That's the word that I would use for that. I asked Chris Kleiman at Big 12 Media Days. I said, "Why isn't this a yearly thing? Why can't we do this every year?" I was prodding him. I was rage baiting. I was waiting for him to say, "Oh, we should." He said, "I don't know. I don't make the schedule." Come on, Chris. Give me more than that. It's a good rivalry. I think that Baylor and Texas Tech should play every year. I think Baylor and TCU playing every year is great. I think having the BYU Utah rivalry protected is great. I think Iowa State and Kansas State should be in that category, even more so than Arizona State, or Kansas and Kansas State. The Wildcats hate the Cyclones more than they hate the Jayhawks on the gridiron because Kansas has been fairly irrelevant for a good portion of the last 3 decades. With that, I definitely think it should be played every year. And it's one of my favorite rivalries now, having gone to the game last year where it was 7 degrees and miserable. But I had a lot of fun with Matt Campbell. He is my friend. Coming up, Oklahoma. Bring it on back. Bring it on back. Bring it on back. Locked on Big 12, Locked on Cyclones. Boom, baby. 5-hour energy. Can I tell you what I did this weekend? I went to St. Paul, Minnesota, like 72 degrees, legendary. And then I flew back and my flight left. We left the hotel like 8:30 in the morning. I landed on the East Coast where I live at 7:40. That's not good. That's a little 12-hour travel day. Not fun for the psyche. 5-hour energy. The second I landed, picked me back up. You know what I had to do? I had to meet my friend Nick Maravets for a crossover. 5-hour energy right now has the transfusion flavor, minus the alcohol, a quick energizing shot. The best part, whether I'm done with a long day of travel or I'm on the golf course, it works just the same. Good flavors, good times, good people. Go to 5hourenergy.com. That's the number 5hourenergy.com. Use my promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th. On one order, cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders, whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36. Get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order the transfusion flavored 5-hour energy shots and do it today.